Hey there, tech-savvy tribe and lovers of all things mobile. Today we're diving into the dramatic world of telecom giants. Our star, T-Mobile, the Un-carrier shaking up the industry. Remember when T-Mobile promised to free us from contracts and hidden fees? Those were the days. Now, T-Mobile, the champion of affordability, suddenly raises prices. A noticeable hike has left customers fuming and experts puzzled. The internet erupted in a frenzy of memes and rants. This isn't just internet outrage, it's about broken promises and consumer trust. Now, for those who need a quick recap, let's rewind a bit. T-Mobile rose to fame by positioning itself as the rebellious teenager of the telecom world, challenging the status quo and disrupting the industry's long-held norms. They promised simpler plans, transparent pricing, and an end to the dreaded 2-year contract. And guess what? It worked. People flocked to T-Mobile, charmed by its we're-on-your-side attitude and its commitment to shaking things up. But somewhere along the line, it seems like the music stopped. The Un-carrier started acting a lot like the carriers it aimed to replace. The recent price hike, which affects millions of customers, feels like a betrayal to many. It directly contradicts the company's core brand identity, leaving customers feeling misled and disillusioned. The question on everyone's mind? Did T-Mobile become the very thing it swore to destroy?
As you can imagine, the internet did what it does best. It exploded. Social media platforms became virtual battlegrounds, overflowing with angry customers venting their frustrations, sharing memes mocking the situation, and demanding answers from T-Mobile. Hashtags like #TMobilePriceHike and #UnCarrierNoMore trended for days, amplifying the public outcry. Some customers even threatened to jump ship to competitors, highlighting the potential long-term damage this could have on T-Mobile's customer base. It became clear that this wasn't just a minor blip on the radar, it was a full-blown PR crisis for the company. Adding fuel to the fire was T-Mobile's previous price lock promise. This widely publicized campaign assured customers that their rates wouldn't increase. It was a key selling point that attracted many customers who were tired of unpredictable price hikes from other providers. The recent move feels like a direct contradiction of this promise, leaving customers feeling deceived and questioning the authenticity of T-Mobile's commitments. The company now faces the daunting task of regaining the trust it has lost and proving that it remains committed to its customers' best interests.
It all began, as these things often do, with an email. A seemingly innocuous message popped into the inboxes of millions of T-Mobile subscribers, its subject line promising something about exciting news or enhanced value, the usual corporate jargon designed to soften the blow. Little did those unsuspecting customers know, they were about to be hit with a digital bombshell. The date was insert date of T-Mobile's official announcement, and the Un-carrier, in a move that shocked even the most cynical observers, announced it was raising prices across a wide range of its plans. Social media, always the first to react, promptly went into meltdown. Customers, many of whom had been drawn to T-Mobile for its promises of affordability and transparency, were understandably furious. The Un-carrier had seemingly morphed into just another carrier, more concerned with profits than with the people who kept it in business. The specifics of the price hike varied depending on the plan, but the general trend was clear. Things were getting more expensive. Some customers saw their monthly bills jump by a few dollars, while others faced increases of $10 or more. Suddenly, those great deals didn't seem so great anymore. T-Mobile, for its part, was quick to offer explanations. They cited rising inflation, the increasing cost of network upgrades, and the need to stay competitive in a rapidly evolving market. All valid points, perhaps, but for many customers, they rang hollow in the face of the company's previous promises. The price hike wasn't just limited to monthly plans either. Various fees, including those for activation, SIM cards, and late payments, also saw an increase. It felt like death by 1,000 cuts, each small change adding up to a significant hit to customers' wallets.
As the dust settled and the initial shock wore off, some customers began to delve into the often ignored depths of their service agreements. And that's when things got even more interesting. Buried deep within the legalese, hidden among clauses about acceptable use policies and roaming charges, were the terms and conditions that allowed T-Mobile to raise prices. It turned out that while the company had loudly touted its price lock guarantee, the reality was a bit more nuanced. The fine print allowed for price adjustments under certain circumstances, including changes in market conditions and increased costs of doing business. In other words, T-Mobile had left itself plenty of wiggle room, a fact that didn't sit well with customers who felt tricked by the company's marketing. The revelation sparked accusations of bait-and-switch tactics and further eroded trust in the Un-carrier brand. Faced with mounting criticism, T-Mobile went into damage control mode. Executives took to the airwaves and social media, attempting to explain the rationale behind the price hike and reassure customers that the company still had their best interests at heart. They emphasized the need for continued investment in their network, highlighting improvements in coverage, speed, and reliability. They pointed to the value their plans offered compared to competitors, arguing that even with the price increase, T-Mobile remained a competitive choice in the market. But the damage was done. The explanations, while perhaps logically sound, failed to resonate with customers who felt betrayed by the company's broken promises. The backlash was swift and brutal, leaving T-Mobile to grapple with the consequences of its actions.
With the benefit of hindsight, it's easy to see that the price hike wasn't entirely out of the blue. There had been rumblings within the industry for months, whispers of T-Mobile's plans to adjust its pricing strategy. Analysts had pointed to the company's aggressive merger with Sprint. The T-Mobile price hike controversy was a wake-up call, both for the company and for consumers.
Remember that social media meltdown we talked about? Well, it was more than just online venting. People were mad and they were ready to put their money where their mouths were. Switching carriers, once a tedious and often dreaded task, suddenly seemed like a walk in the park compared to sticking with a company that seemingly betrayed its core values. Online forums were buzzing with tips on how to unlock phones, transfer phone numbers, and find better deals with other providers. It was like a mass exodus, fueled by a collective sense of disappointment and betrayal. Some even vowed to ditch their smartphones altogether, a testament to the depth of their anger, and perhaps a slight exaggeration, but hey, emotions were running high. It's easy to get lost in the abstract numbers of a price hike, a few dollars here, a percentage point there. But behind those figures were real people, struggling with real budgets and feeling the pinch of T-Mobile's decision in their everyday lives. Take Sarah, a single mom working 2 jobs, who relied on T-Mobile's supposedly affordable plans to stay connected with her family and manage her busy schedule. Or Michael, a college student already drowning in student loan debt, who now had to choose between paying for data or buying groceries. These stories, shared thousands of times online and picked up by news outlets, put a human face on the T-Mobile controversy. They reminded everyone that this wasn't just about corporate greed or market forces. It was about real people struggling to make ends meet in an increasingly expensive world.
While customers were expressing their outrage online, industry analysts were busy dissecting the implications of T-Mobile's move. Some argued that the price hike, while unpopular, was a necessary evil, allowing T-Mobile to invest in its network and remain competitive in the long run. Others, however, questioned the timing and the strategy, suggesting that the company had misjudged the loyalty of its customer base and underestimated the potential backlash. They warned that the short-term gains from the price hike could be offset by long-term damage to T-Mobile's reputation and customer relationships. The consensus seemed to be that T-Mobile was walking a tightrope. They had to balance their financial needs with the expectations of a customer base that had come to expect affordability and transparency. Whether they could pull it off remained to be seen.
Perhaps the biggest casualty of the T-Mobile controversy was the company's carefully cultivated image. For years, T-Mobile had positioned itself as the Un-carrier, the rebel with a cause, fighting for the little guy against the big, bad telecom giants. The price hike, however, shattered that illusion. Suddenly, T-Mobile looked a lot like the very companies it had built its brand on opposing. The Un-carrier was starting to feel like just another carrier, more concerned with profits than with people. The price hike had exposed the inherent tension between T-Mobile's disruptive image and the realities of operating a profitable business in a cutthroat industry. The question now was whether T-Mobile could salvage its Un-carrier identity. Could they regain the trust of customers who felt betrayed by the price hike? Or would they be forced to abandon their rebellious roots and embrace the role of just another telecom giant?
Section 5. The domino effect. Will other carriers follow T-Mobile's lead? T-Mobile's price hike sent shockwaves throughout the telecom industry, leaving competitors to grapple with a tantalizing question: should they follow suit? After all, if the Un-carrier could get away with raising prices, why not them? Some analysts predicted a domino effect, with other carriers emboldened by T-Mobile's move to implement their own price increases. They argued that the industry, facing similar pressures from inflation and technological advancements, would be tempted to follow the leader and boost their bottom lines. Others, however, cautioned against such a simplistic analysis. They argued that each carrier had its own unique market position, competitive landscape, and customer base. What worked for T-Mobile might not necessarily work for others. Section 6. Learning from the backlash. Reputations aren't built on Wi-Fi signals alone. The T-Mobile price hike controversy served as a stark reminder that a company's reputation is a valuable asset. It's not enough to simply offer a good product. Companies must also cultivate trust and transparency. T-Mobile can learn from this experience and emerge stronger. By listening to customers and rebuilding trust, the company can repair the damage. The telecom industry can learn from T-Mobile's missteps. Companies that prioritize profits over people do so at their own peril.
Section 1. Wall Street's verdict. Did T-Mobile just make a genius move? While customers were busy fuming and switching carriers, over in the land of suits and skyscrapers, Wall Street was busy crunching numbers and assessing the situation. You see, in the world of high finance, customer emotions are all well and good, but what really matters is the bottom line. And on that front, T-Mobile's move was a bit of a head-scratcher. Some analysts, the kind who speak in spreadsheets and acronyms, saw it as a bold but calculated gamble. They argued that the price hike, while sure to ruffle some feathers, was a necessary step to boost revenue and fund future growth. These financial wizards pointed to the massive costs associated with building out 5G networks, acquiring spectrum licenses, and staying ahead in the ever-evolving tech race. They argued that T-Mobile, despite its Un-carrier image, was still a publicly traded company, beholden to shareholders who expected a return on their investment. Section 2. The stock market speaks, deciphering the ups and downs of T-Mobile shares. The stock market, that fickle beast that often reflects the collective wisdom, or lack thereof, of investors, reacted to T-Mobile's news with its usual volatility. Initially, there was a dip, a knee-jerk reaction to the negative headlines and the prospect of customer churn. But then something interesting happened. The stock rallied, climbing back up as some investors saw the price hike as a sign of strength, a signal that T-Mobile was confident enough in its market position to withstand some short-term pain for long-term gain. Of course, the market is notoriously unpredictable, and only time would tell if this initial optimism was warranted. Adding to the intrigue was the fact that T-Mobile's competitors were also seeing their stock prices move, albeit in less dramatic fashion. It seemed that the entire telecom sector was under scrutiny, with investors trying to gauge the potential ripple effects of T-Mobile's bold move.
Section 3. Short-term pain, long-term gain. The delicate balancing act of profit and perception. T-Mobile's predicament highlighted a fundamental tension that many companies face: the delicate balancing act between short-term profits and long-term brand perception. On the one hand, raising prices, especially in an inflationary environment, seemed like a no-brainer to boost revenue and please investors. On the other hand, doing so risked alienating customers, damaging the company's carefully crafted image, and eroding the trust that had taken years to build. It was a classic case of short-term thinking versus long-term vision, and T-Mobile seemed caught in the middle. The million-dollar question was whether T-Mobile could find a way to thread this needle to reap the financial benefits of the price hike without irrevocably tarnishing its reputation. It was a high-stakes gamble, and the outcome was far from certain.
Can you put a price on trust? The intangible costs of T-Mobile's gamble. Measuring the intangible costs of damaged trust is elusive. How do you value the erosion of customer loyalty and negative social media sentiment? These intangible costs may outweigh short-term financial gains. Long-term damage includes decreased customer acquisition and increased churn. T-Mobile's calculated risk may not pay off in the long run.
Section 5. Beyond the bottom line. The ripple effect on T-Mobile's internal culture. The fallout from the price hike wasn't just limited to customers and investors. It also sent shockwaves through the company's internal culture. Employees, many of whom had joined T-Mobile because they believed in its Un-carrier mission, were left feeling conflicted and demoralized. Some expressed their concerns internally, questioning the decision-making process and the impact on the company's values. Others, facing the brunt of customer anger on the front lines, felt caught in the middle, forced to defend a decision they didn't agree with. The price hike, it seemed, had exposed a potential disconnect between T-Mobile's external image and its internal reality. Maintaining a strong, positive company culture is crucial for attracting and retaining top talent, and T-Mobile's leadership faced the challenge of addressing these internal concerns and rebuilding trust within its own ranks. Section 6. The telecom industry at a crossroads, a wake-up call or business as usual. T-Mobile's price hike controversy served as a microcosm of the larger challenges facing the telecom industry. As technology rapidly advances, competition intensifies, and consumer expectations evolve, telecom companies are grappling with how to stay profitable while remaining relevant and customer-centric. Some saw T-Mobile's move as a sign of things to come, a harbinger of an industry shifting towards prioritizing profits over people. Others, however, viewed it as a wake-up call, a reminder that even in the cutthroat world of telecom, trust and transparency still matter. The future of the telecom industry, it seemed, would be shaped by how companies navigate this delicate balance. Would they prioritize short-term gains at the expense of customer trust, or would they find a way to innovate, compete, and thrive while staying true to their core values? Only time will tell, but one thing was certain: the stakes had been raised.
Section 1. Damage control. Can T-Mobile win back its fans? Okay, so T-Mobile stepped in it. Big time. They broke their Un-carrier promises, left customers feeling betrayed, and sparked a social media firestorm that would make a volcano jealous. But the story doesn't end there. The question is, can they come back from this? Can they win back the hearts and wallets of their once loyal fans? It's a tough road ahead, no doubt. The trust is broken, and simply saying, "Oops, our bad," won't cut it. They need to acknowledge the misstep, show genuine remorse, and most importantly, take concrete actions to make things right.
First and foremost, T-Mobile needs to face the music. No more corporate jargon or PR spin. They need to directly address the concerns of their customers with clear, concise, and honest communication. Think town hall meetings, online Q&As with executives, or even personalized messages acknowledging the impact of their decisions. Next up, they need to offer something tangible to those affected by the price hike. Think discounts, loyalty bonuses, or maybe even a temporary price freeze. It doesn't have to break the bank, but it needs to show customers that they're willing to share the burden. Apologies go a long way, especially when coupled with meaningful gestures. T-Mobile could offer affected customers a choice, either a discount on their monthly bill for a set period or a credit toward their next device upgrade. This gives customers a sense of agency and allows them to choose what works best for them. They could also consider launching a customer appreciation program with exclusive perks and benefits for long-term subscribers. Think priority customer service, early access to new products, or even just a free pizza now and then. Everyone loves pizza, right?
It's too early to tell if this price hike debacle will be a blip on T-Mobile's radar or a defining moment in their corporate history. It all depends on how they respond in the coming months and years. If they handle it well, acknowledge their mistakes, and make amends with their customers, they might just be able to weather the storm. However, if they double down on their current course, ignore the concerns of their customers, and prioritize short-term profits over long-term relationships, they risk permanently damaging their reputation and losing the trust they worked so hard to build.
Section 5. The bigger picture. What does this controversy mean for consumers and the telecom landscape? The T-Mobile saga is a cautionary tale for the entire telecom industry. It highlights the importance of transparency, the fragility of trust, and the power of consumer backlash in the digital age. It also raises important questions about the future of the industry and the role of regulation in ensuring fair competition and consumer protection. For consumers, this is a reminder to read the fine print, to hold companies accountable for their promises, and to never be afraid to explore alternative options. The power lies with the people, and by voting with their wallets, consumers can shape the future of the telecom industry and ensure that companies prioritize their needs.
Well, folks, it seems like the price hike party is over, and T-Mobile is left with a bit of a hangover. The confetti has settled, the balloons have deflated, and the once cheering crowds are now nursing their wounds and their wallets. The uncarrier, once the life of the party, the one who promised to shake things up and do things differently, is now facing the consequences of its actions. The question on everyone's mind is, can they recover from this? The road ahead is paved with challenges. Customer trust, once a bedrock of the brand, has been shaken. The uncarrier image, carefully cultivated over years of disruptive marketing and bold moves, is looking a little tarnished. And the competition, well, they're smelling blood in the water, ready to pounce on any sign of weakness.
Remember when T-Mobile burst onto the scene, all swagger and attitude, promising to free us from the tyranny of contracts and hidden fees? It was a breath of fresh air, a rebellion against the established order, and it resonated with millions of consumers tired of being taken advantage of. But now, after this price hike fiasco, the uncarrier label feels a bit like a costume that no longer fits. It's like seeing your favorite rock star trading in their leather jacket for a suit and tie. It just doesn't feel right. The challenge for T-Mobile is to reconcile its actions with its identity. Can they raise prices without becoming just another carrier? Can they balance the needs of their shareholders with the expectations of their customers? These are tough questions with no easy answers. It will require more than just clever marketing slogans or superficial gestures. It will require a fundamental reassessment of their values, their priorities, and their commitment to the uncarrier ethos.
So what can T-Mobile do to dig themselves out of this hole? The first step is simple but crucial. They need to own up to their mistakes. No more corporate doublespeak or attempts to spin the narrative. They need to acknowledge the impact of their actions on their customers, express genuine remorse for breaking their trust, and outline a clear plan for making things right. Next, they need to back up their words with tangible actions. This means offering affected customers meaningful compensation, whether it's in the form of discounts, credits, or enhanced benefits. It also means revisiting their pricing policies, ensuring they are transparent, predictable, and fair. The goal should be to rebuild customer confidence, not just to appease them in the short term.
The T-Mobile saga is a reminder that we, as consumers, have a role to play in shaping the behavior of the companies we do business with. We can't just passively accept broken promises or unfair practices. We need to hold companies accountable, to demand transparency, and to vote with our wallets when they fail to meet our expectations. The telecom industry, like many others, is constantly evolving. New technologies emerge, competition heats up, and companies are under pressure to adapt and innovate. But amidst all this change, one thing should remain constant: the importance of trust between a company and its customers. The T-Mobile price hike controversy is a wake-up call, a reminder that even the most disruptive companies can fall prey to the temptations of short-term gains over long-term relationships. It's up to all of us, consumers and companies alike, to ensure that trust is not a casualty in the relentless march of progress.